I don't think.
Welcome back to the Debrief Podcast. I'm your host, Tom. Got a good one for you today. We're going to be joined by the one, the only, JP the Giant Pollington, co-host of the Fourth and Goal podcast. So he's going to be coming in here just a moment, talking Lions and Titans and the big backyard brawl between Michigan and Michigan State. So look forward to that. Also want to check out Reckless Speculation from last night. Raj and I did a really good in-depth breakdown of the World Series coming up starting tomorrow night. Game one of what will most likely be a historical World Series, to say the least, between the Yankees and the Dodgers. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring our guest in here. JP, what is up, my friend?
Tom, how you doing? It's been a long time. Glad to be back.
Yep,
things are moving along here in Detroit right now. It's a really exciting time.
Yeah, it is for sure. And if any of you guys out there remember JP and I, along with Rich, we used to do the Easy Speak podcast, which there are rumblings and grumblings that could be making its comeback at some point, but we'll see from how that goes. But JP, tell us a little bit about yourself and, what you've got going on in your new endeavors in life.
Yeah, I've been really busy going on all fall here now, covering Michigan sports. And as a lot of people know, I I went on a hiatus and went to school at Specs for broadcast media. Now I'm covering high school sports now, trying to raise a kid, doing some college sports. Whatever I can get my hands on. I've became more privy to the game of soccer this fall, which I never thought I would do. It's not a bad game, but yeah, man, I've been busy. How about? It's good to be back though, and good to be bullshitting.
Yeah. Well, I've always said you're the premier person to go to when we're talking Michigan football. Like you're just a savant. When it comes to that. Rain Man with Michigan. So I thought it would be great to have you come on and shoot the shit, that's for sure, and talk about what the heck's going on in Detroit sports. And we'll get this thing going, and we're going to kick it off with the news that broke this week with our ever-troubled wide receiver, Jameson Williams, 2-game suspension, which he has decided to not appeal, so he'll start the suspension this week, and he'll miss next week against Green Bay. Unfortunately, the reports I'm hearing are he has been prescribed Adderall legally from a physician, and apparently they had him doing a generic version of it, and it was not on the NFL's list of allowed drugs, we'll say prescription medicine. And so that's why he got dinged. It's unfortunate. As you all know, Jameson, first year, he missed because he had a torn ACL in his last year at Alabama. So he missed like 6 games, I believe. Last year, he suspended for online gambling on, it was college basketball, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. It was from the parking lot of the team facility. I
Yeah.
don't believe it was allegedly. Don't believe it was in the team facility, but
Right. Which originally was a 6-game suspension, knocked down to 4. I guess we're looking at that scenario, this current scenario with the medication that he's prescribed by a physician, allegedly. Of course, we got to monitor that.
yeah,
And then you go and you look in the other situation with Rashee Rice, who's driving 120 miles an hour down a Dallas expressway, gets like playing bumper cars basically, parks his car and he takes off running. He was kind of on the lam for a couple days. And then Jordan Addison, who just recently got a DUI arrest in Minnesota, and neither one of those guys have or will be facing punishment by the NFL. JP, do you think that those type of scenarios where there was injuries involved, there was a crime committed in both situations, is it fair to say that they got off lucky compared to Jameson, who is, if this is the story that is true, that it's a medication that he's prescribed and he gets 2 games for that?
I mean, I can't sit here and play attorney and say which one is worst or which. I mean, Minnesota, it came down, they did what they did. Detroit, if this is the case and he's prescribed this medication or whatever, just do your 2 games and move on. They did the right thing. Get ahead of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll own up to it. JMO himself released a statement. Dan Campbell came out to the media and said, I trust the player. I trust the guy. You know what I mean? So that means something. That goes a long way. I'm not worried about this, to be honest with you. Hey, we got Tennessee this week. Not that big of a deal. You got Green Bay next week. Probably going to need them. But Tim Patrick's been stepping up. Khalif Raymond's been stepping up. You got guys that are kind of playing that role now. So, hey, get ahead of it. Do your 2 games. Get out of the way. You know what I mean? As far as Minnesota, hey, they're going to do what they're going to do. Obviously, they're on Georgia rules over there. So,
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth with Tim Patrick. I think if not for him, there would be some concerns of having that kind of over the top deep threat.
Right.
He is kind of showing he's capable of that. A, and B, his hands. He's got great hands, and the game against Dallas where he was Owerike, 24, who former Lion, was draped all over him, and he still was able to make the catch. I have a lot of confidence. Clearly this week, which we'll get into here in a minute, I'm not concerned about. And really, looking at the Green Bay game, I'm not overly concerned, frankly, because what did J-Mo do last week? He had 1 catch for -4 yards. So he wasn't a part of that offense, and they went into Minnesota and handled their business. So,
Tom, think about if you let me add something real quick though. Think about how Detroit's offense is functioning right now. We're talking about Khalif Raymond and Tim Patrick. We haven't even got Sam Laporta going yet.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's just another whole element. That's a whole added element of the offense that we haven't even had to use yet.
And I think really it's a test to the running game. The running game has been so impactful and so dangerous that the pass game. I mean, not putting any poo-poo to it, because we all know Jared Goff is right now is the MVP for what he's been able to do, but he hasn't had to go and win games. He's been able to really, focus on just not making mistakes and having that run game. So in Amon-Ra, last week he had 8 catches. He went off. He had his probably best game of the year. But you there's pieces there, and Sam Laporta. I mean, he's got 7 catches on this season, so you're not really concerned too much because they haven't really spread it out like they normally would. And with him not being there, I expect that to happen.
Yeah, and Montgomery, we wonder if he's a little banged up from that Minnesota game. He had some injury problems late. But yeah, like Ben Johnson says, the well runs deep. I mean, Brock Wright, who's proven to be a good tight end.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, you can just keep going on and on. I mean, they'll throw a pass to Panay Sewell. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's impressive, man.
I love his response to the question of, well, are you worried that you've kind of tipped your hand on? And he said, oh no, I don't use the same play
Yeah.
twice. There's more where that came from. So
And you even
he's very confident.
You've seen Jared Goff's ability. You know, Minnesota wanted to take away that middle of that field. All right, well, we'll throw a streak down the middle of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know what I mean? That was kind of the way he stepped. He kind of was on the move a little bit. He stepped into it and dropped a dime right down the middle of the field. I think at this point, it's the Lions spite store, just like against Dallas. You know what I mean? They're lining up Skipper at receiver, and they're throwing passes to Decker, and they're throwing touchdown passes to Jared Goff. And now Goff's, he has a rushing touchdown. He's making throws on the run. Like it's the Lions spite store at this point.
It's the confidence that Ben Johnson has, and we got a comment here that I'll address here in a minute, that he has faith in no matter what play he calls, his team's going to execute. And the fact that he's called some of those wild plays and in some situations that were, suspect, we'll say, and he has the faith in his guys to do that. But here's a good question that Tim has. Do you guys think Ben Johnson wants the responsibility of being a head coach, or is he content focusing on just the offensive side of the ball? I think that's a great question. And there was a TikTok, I kind of got into a little tissy match with a guy, I forget the creator's name, but he's like, Ben Johnson absolutely would go to the Cowboys. And my comment was, Ben Johnson's not going to the Cowboys because Jerry Jones controls everything, and there's no way he's going to go there and have someone dictate how he's going to handle his team. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why McCarthy is still there, because I don't think there's guys lined up to go to Dallas and coach there. And there's the old program, as Pat McAfee used to say. What's up, fellas? I think I have an idea who that might be.
Right.
But, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because apparently I'm frozen on the screen. So, but
that's a still photo, Tom.
There we go. There we go. I don't know what happened. I lost connection there on my phone.
As far as the question about Ben Johnson, I mean, he has great rapport with Jared Goff, great rapport with Dan Campbell. He has a good thing going here in Detroit. He's the hottest thing in the league. Why leave Detroit for a situation like the Commanders that looks like a really good situation right now?
Oh man!
And I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, could you imagine if Ben Johnson would have got Jaden Daniels? You know what I mean? I'm glad he stayed here in Detroit.
Oh, I mean, he's making about $5 million as a coordinator. He doesn't have to go anywhere. And right. When you have like we alluded to there, you have the pieces that Detroit has, the offensive weapons. And let's not get it twisted. These guys, these aren't huge names that he's working with. He's working with Jared Goff, who the Rams left in the trash heap. He's working with David Montgomery, who the Bears like, right. You can go. A rookie in Gibbs, rookie in Laporta, fourth round Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, these aren't superstars.
A Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs. Remember when he was drafted at 12? Lions fans there was a good amount of probably the better half of Lions fans that were pretty pissed off about that pick.
Yeah,
and looking back now, I would have took him at 12 again and over Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because I think Bijan's having a really good year this year. Last year he showed flashes, but this year, I mean, I think if you redrafted him, I mean, they would be very close. It depends on the system, really. In this system, I think absolutely Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the right fit for this team. So Just he's in a good situation. He's in a great situation as far as, coaching goes with Dan Campbell, with Brad Holmes, and just the organization as a whole. Why would you go somewhere where it's just turmoil? It's just
Yeah.
it's chaos all the time, even when you win. It's just I don't see him going there. But anyways, so
I mean, he
we're gonna
makes a
move
good
on.
living.
Yeah,
He
oh
makes a
shit,
good
yeah, he makes a
living.
good living. And
His
if you look
family.
at it, he's been in the system for 6 years. He's the window that he's got right now with the potential of them winning is huge. I mean, and I don't think
Yeah.
it's going anywhere anytime too soon. So it just makes complete sense for him to stay where he's at. I don't see anything else happening to the contrary, unless some dream job opens up where he's going to have total control, which I'd be shocked if you see that anywhere. So,
Yeah.
but moving on to this game this week, the Titans 1-5. Man, it's been a rough go for them. The reckless speculation guys, Brandon, who gave up his season tickets, gave up his seat license this year. He's been a season ticket holder since 2002. He's like, I'm done. It's just it's been bad. And I think there was thoughts that they could have a pretty decent season coming in, but it hasn't been the case. Obviously, Detroit, big win last week, 5-1, sitting atop of the North. I saw an interview yesterday at the Piston game with Terry and Arnold, and he admitted, he goes, "This is a game that some could consider a trap," and I was really glad to hear him say that, because that tells me that the team is aware that, hey, even though they're 1-5, this is still the NFL, and anybody can win in this league. What's your take on this game? Is there anything that worries you or concerns you with a team like Tennessee coming in at 1-5?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to worry about. I don't know if Levis is going to start or if it's going to be Mason Rudolph. But, I mean, down the line, they got talent. You got Tony Pollard. I mean, you got Calvin Ridley, a guy who's shown that he can do a lot of things in the NFL. They got Jeffrey Simmons, probably one of the top 3 interior defensive linemen in the NFL on that side. Yeah, up and down, you look at Tennessee's roster. I mean, J.C. Latham at left tackle, Pete Skoronski at left guard. They're building a good foundation on the left side there. Yeah, there's a lot to worry about, and this could be a trap game for the Lions. I mean, I don't think that they let distractions get in their way, but I don't think Dan Campbell allows that in the locker room, so it'd probably be business as usual. It's a home game for the Lions, correct? So,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, you got
Finally
that element. Yeah, so you're adding that element into it. But it's dangerous. They have a lot of formidable NFL players on their roster and can make it a competitive game. Especially with Mason Rudolph, I think he's their best option right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Tim was just saying, that he's the starter, and he looked pretty good last week. I think his stats were he put the ball up 57 times. He was 24-57 for 300 yards and a touchdown. They kind of ran with Buffalo in that first half of that game, which surprised me. The score ended up they winning by like 15 points, so it kind of equaled itself out by the end. But I know Tim brought this up earlier about D-Hop to the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, it came out yesterday. He's actually with Kansas City right now, so
yeah,
he was their leading receiver. I think he only had like 17 catches on the year. So their receiver core is really solid. With they've got Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, and they just have not been able to put it together. Do you think a lot of that has to do with the best player they had last year is now on the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, no. I mean, they got L'Jarius Sneed at corner. I mean, they got studs on defense and offense. You got to remember, this is Callahan's first year. Maybe Callahan's not the guy for this team. Maybe the roster is a little mismanaged. I don't know what's going on. I know I talked about Tennessee in the preseason as a team that could have potentially competed in that South Division.
Right.
That was kind of wide open, but yeah, I mean, it could be Callahan. Maybe he doesn't have the right guys for his system. I know, like you mentioned, Tyler Boyd, you mentioned Calvin Ridley. They're both good players, have been proven players in the NFL. And Pollard, who I thought was the number one for a couple of years there in Dallas when they were kind of riding Zeke's coattails. And then, yeah, the young mix. They got Devondre Sweat, who's a big monster nose tackle in the middle, kid from Texas. Still moves in the late fours. Yeah, it's the NFL, man. Anything could happen.
And Harold Landry, who is one of the guys that, and we'll kind of address this with Tim, the D line. Harold Landry is a guy that's rumored to be on a short list for Detroit to come in and replace Aiden Hutchinson, and kind of hitting on this question here. Do you feel like they need to address the D line? My answer to that is they have to. If you look back last week, Darnold had, just shy of 4 seconds on average in the pocket, and you cannot allow a quarterback to sit back there. I don't care who he is. You cannot expect your secondary to be able to hold that long, that consistently, and not get picked apart. So they'll get away with it this week. I fully expect a lot of looks like you saw in Minnesota with the linebackers really coming to the line of scrimmage and pass rushing, which was really good. So I think you can get away with it this week, but next week it's going to be a real issue. So I would fully suspect, based upon how it goes this week, a move will be made. What do you think about that, JP?
I think Lions fans need to stop throwing out big names. It's like, we're not getting Max Crosby. We're not getting Myles Garrett. Lions fans, you guys wanted Hassan Reddick. Look what he did and held out all those games this year.
And he went back to the Jets, even though the Lions inquired. So
I think the Lions, if they're going to make a move, it's going to be incremental. It's not going to be a monumental move. Zadarius Smith, a guy that people talk about, who's played in this division with the Packers and the Vikings, older guy. I could see a move like that, maybe getting rid of a 4th, 5th round pick. To me, that's worth it in a Super Bowl run. But it's going to be something incremental. It's not going to be a huge move. Lions fans, you're setting yourself up for failure. You've seen Aaron Glenn, like Tom mentioned, he brought the linebackers in. Malcolm Rodriguez kind of schemed it up a little bit to kind of manufacture some pressure. But, yeah, down the line, in games like San Francisco last year in the NFC North Championship, where they didn't have that pass rush. You know what I mean? They didn't have that guy outside Aiden Hutchinson. You definitely want to get a guy in there that's going to be able to make up some of that deficit, because you're not going to replace Aiden Hutchinson.
No, it's impossible. I mean, Zadarius Smith, I could see them going, that route definitely, because like you said, it's going to be cheap. Harold Landry, you could probably get him for maybe a 2nd or a 3rd. So maybe not the dream scenario, but maybe a couple guys that they'll be able to rotate in and out, along with the Pascal, who clearly cannot weather the full load because he kept getting hurt last week. And
make no bones about it, Tom, this secondary for the Lions, this is an improved secondary.
It is, and they proved it last week.
Yeah, they can hold up. You know what I mean? If you can manufacture a little bit of pressure, stay tough in the run game. I mean, they do a great job shutting down the run. Then I mean, you don't have to go out and overspend, and just get a couple guys in there that can kind of fill the role. And you know what I mean? Give me 3-4 plays. You know what I mean? Let's keep them rotating in, keep it fresh.
Look at this. Go Kenny Collis, the old contractor steel veteran from back in the day. What's up, Ken? How you doing? Thanks for watching. No, I mean, I agree. They're definitely more athletic. I like the way Amik Robertson played last week. He was really covering well. But having that threat in the defensive backfield of not only Kirby Joseph, but Brian Branch has just elevated himself into stardom in the last couple of weeks around the NFL. We've known it since day one, but I think the rest of the world is starting to really see, what we've known, and why in the hell he slipped to the 2nd round is beyond me. But those guys are ball hawks. Between the two of them, there's 8 picks, and there isn't a team out there that can go out and say that, in this league. So that threat that no matter what, there's going to be blanket coverage, and you saw it in the second half last week. Darnold had the time to get it to Justin Jefferson. He just couldn't because they were all over him. At times there was 3 guys on him. So, and that's exactly what you were expecting, especially with not having Aiden Hutchinson. And I did a recap show the other day. Kudos to Aaron Glenn. He had the perfect game plan for covering Justin Jefferson. That was their first guy they had to stop. He did, receive 81 yards, but he feasts on the Lions in former years. So that definitely showed he's finding ways to utilize the talent that he does have.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary at this point. You think about how good Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are together. They haven't even had Ife Melifonwu yet, who down the stretch last year was probably the best player on that defense.
I agree.
And he hasn't been back. So I mean, there's a lot of tools left in the toolbox. Let's not start panicking now and then shoot our wad on something we're going to regret down the line.
And not to mention, Dan Campbell was asked about Emmanuel Mosley, and he said that he's ahead of schedule, and they absolutely would be having him back. So when you look at that scenario, you're adding depth. You're going to add 2 guys come playoff time. Melifonwu, who, like you said, he was kind of the catalyst last year, and Mosley, who knows what he's going to bring to the table, because we've only seen him really in 2 games in 2 seasons. So there's definitely some ability in that backfield. And I was impressed maybe with the fact that Terrion Arnold only drew 1 penalty last week. He's the NFL leader in penalties called against him, and he seems to be okay. Each week he's getting a little bit better, less handsy, and his main focus last week was Jefferson, and he shut him down. So I agree.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, he handled his own. So
Tom, I was wondering, I just wanted to make sure my eyes seeing what I'm seeing, because Terrion Arnold's playing pretty tough against Jefferson right now. And I mean, obviously he had the safety help, but man, he did. And Carlton Davis rotated too.
I think people fail to realize that their biggest hole last year was that secondary.
Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson was probably the biggest cancer in that clubhouse. His mouth ran faster than he played. And getting him out of town, I think, was huge. And Brad Holmes really focused on shoring up that secondary. And really, if you think about it, that gives Aaron Glenn the confidence to really bring the linebackers up. That play to seal it last week, before they broke huddle, I was saying to myself, I hate Hail Marys because we get burned all the time. I said they need to rush. They need to put pressure on him and force him to throw it when he did before he can. And they brought it. They brought the linebackers. So I was glad to see, and I was relieved, to say the least, when they did do that. So looking at this game, what a number, man. 12.5 over under is 45.5. Now I didn't check to see if the number has changed since the trade. Let's see here. I don't think it has. I think it's still at 12.5. But what is your take on that number? This is the NFL. This is the NFL. It's very rare that you see a game where there's double digits and then double digits and then some. But what's your take on that?
You said 12.5?
Yeah.
12.5. I would never be comfortable picking the Lions to cover that large of a spread in the NFL. I could see the game being closer than that. I mean,
It's down to 12 now. It's down to 12.
yeah. Well, if it's moving down, I mean, the Lions have a home field advantage, man. You go to these games every week. You know how it is to play there. You know what I mean? That's an added,
it's loud
adrenaline for those players, man.
And not to mention,
Lions,
they haven't played a home game since September 30th, so they're going to be fired up to be there Sunday.
I'll just say that I wouldn't take them to cover the 12. I would definitely take Tennessee, but I don't know. That's just me. That's what I would be comfortable with. But there's no question the Lions could definitely run them.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and act like Tennessee's some kind of good football team or something.
Mm-mm. No, Tim's got a 31-10, the final.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
The way they played last week and holding really Minnesota, yeah, they gave up 28, but that's Minnesota at home. That's a good offense. But so some of the keys to the Lions, for me, it's the run game. They cannot let their foot off the gas. I think last week proved that when Monty had a bad game, you just plug Gibbs in and just keep hammering it down. Have you heard if Zeitler is playing by any chance?
I haven't seen it yet. There should be an injury report out tomorrow.
Yeah.
That would say who's practicing and who's not practicing. I mean, that's normally what you go off of.
Right.
If he's doing light practice today and he's doing light practice tomorrow, I would imagine he'll play. And they're going to need him because Awasika, he had a horrible start there, man. Oh,
he got better as the game went on. He had a really key block in Jahmyr Gibbs' second touchdown.
Yeah,
where he's
played. He's played a ton here. He's played a lot. He's prepared for the game reps, but it was just a rough start. But he did bounce back.
Yep. So I think really the main focus is running the ball, and because that really leads to the reason why Jared Goff has been so successful. The play action pass has been lethal for the Lions, and you're going to see him spread the ball a little bit more. Obviously, not having JMO, that'll change the game plan a little bit. But do you expect to see Ben Johnson opening up his little bag of tricks a little bit more with this game?
No, I mean, there's no particular side for the Lions that they really need to change up. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball. They got a two-headed monster. They're going to stay within the offense. For me, the key is the defense, just continuing to figure out ways to apply pressure and make plays back there in that secondary. Obviously, losing a guy like Hutch, I'm more looking at the defense. I think the offense is fine. Tennessee's not having a good defensive year. They're struggling. Just keep doing what you do on offense, man, and defense. I'll be interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said a little while ago with the linebackers, very encouraged with the local guy, Nowatzki. He's been playing really good football, and you mix them in. Rodrigo has been playing really good. He's made some big key tackles. So Anzalone's all over the field. Jack Campbell. I mean, these guys are really starting to come into their own at the right time, and I feel like they're going to get to Mason Rudolph, and hopefully they don't pull out a helmet and hit him over the head with it. But
Jack Campbell, man, he's kind of like the Lions' run-stopping specialist. It's like they have a linebacker for pressure. If they want to bring Rodrigo in, they got Jack Campbell who can stop the run. They can bring Nowatzki with the pressure. So they're kind of just mixing it up a little bit. Yep. And I mean, the NFL is not for long. Teams will figure it out. Aaron Glenn will have to make adjustments on the fly as well. But that's definitely encouraging. I mean, because you're what's his name? 55 for the Lions. I'm drawing a brain fart right now.
Brooks?
Derek Barnes. Yeah, he's out. You got to replace a guy like him the year. Too. Yep. Yeah, and he was a starting linebacker for the Lions at the beginning of the year. So.
There's 5 starters for the Lions that are on IL. I mean, it's incredible, and what they've had to kind of overcome it early in this season, and they've proven it. So, Titans have one of the best teams at stopping tight ends. Fortunately for the Lions, they haven't utilized the tight end a whole lot, but not every team runs tight ends like the Lions do. Brock Wright, he's got great hands. I mean, these guys are going downfield. So, yes, the Titans have a really good linebacker core, but Ernest, what the hell's his name? They just got traded.
Ernest Jones.
Ernest Jones just got traded. So you're really only going to have Harold Landry back there to worry about. So, I mean, I'm not too concerned with that. As long as that run game is going well, I fully expect Detroit to be able to handle it well. And like you mentioned earlier, Ford Field is electric. There'll be 65,000 fans in there that have been chomping at the bit to get back. The last game that they played there was the Monday night against Seattle. Place was unbelievable. And there aren't many quarterbacks that can handle that noise.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Mason Rudolph is one of those quarterbacks that's going to be able to handle the noise, handle that adversity that he's going to face. So
if there is any quarterback on their roster that it would be him. I believe. Now, Mason Rudolph was a playoff starter for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he was.
So he's been battle tested.
Yeah. Yep, he has.
I don't want to get too far into the Mason Rudolph talk.
I mean, because let's face it. I think we all had big heads going into week 2, and in Tampa proved that any given Sunday you can go in there, even though it's the most hostile environment in football. You could go in there and you could lose, and Tampa did give us our only loss. So unfortunately, I think that this coaching staff's going to have them ready to play. And realizing that you can't take any Sunday off, you got to be prepared. So, give me your prediction for this game.
I like the Lions somewhere in a game, probably 28-21, 27-21, something like that. I could see that.
So you think it's going to be a little bit closer?
Yeah, I think I like a touchdown game. I could see a touchdown game.
All right. Well, I'm the polar opposite. I think the Lions come out and they score early and often. I like them at 37-16. Okay. I trust the defense. The home crowd is going to fire up the D. I really think you're going to see a little bit more pass rush. They've got to find a way to get Aleem McNeil involved. I mean, they were pretty predictable. They really doubling in that middle. There was no rush. So expect linebackers to line up on the line of scrimmage and do a little blitzing that way. So, I think it's a big game. I think big game coming out for the Leos. But we'll see. I'll be there. Can't wait. We'll be reporting from Ford Field. So
how many cocktails do you usually have before you go into a Lions game?
I haven't drank much anymore.
No.
I might have 1 or 2. Yeah,
How many cocktails do you think the average Lions fan's having?
A lot. A lot. Yep.
It's no wonder the place is so rowdy, right?
We're tailgating this week. Normally we haven't been, but we'll be tailgating, and there'll be a lot of fireball flowing. Not this guy. Not for this guy. So, but no,
what is it? NFTS?
NFTS, not for Tom Sloan. So I've cut back big time on the drinking. Just it was time. We a guy that Rich and I worked with, 43 years old, passed away of a heart attack, and it kind of puts things into perspective about, the little things that you can change, and you can't prevent it from happening, but you can help it from not happening. So we both kind of got our shit straight, and I'll have a beer here and there, but that aspect's kind of come and gone. So, but moving on to a game I think is going to cause a lot of people to drink, a team that has caused a lot of people to drink a little bit more excessively, I think, this year, because what in the actual F is happening? The 4-3 Michigan State Spartans coming into Ann Arbor to face the 4-3 Michigan Wolverines in the Backyard Brawl. First time since 2008, neither team's ranked coming into the big game. And the first time since 1928 that both teams have come in with 3 losses.
Jesus, you just dropped the hammer on me with some stats, dude.
I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly with a capital ugly. And so I guess talk about this game a little bit. What are your expectations? Obviously, what do you feel the right decision at quarterback will be, and who do you think they'll go with the quarterback position?
I think us Michigan fans are a little bit more graceful right now because we're coming off of a national championship season. But, dude, it is ugly. And I don't know who they're going to go with at quarterback yet. I don't even think Sharon's announced it. I think it's going to could be a quarterback by committee. They could play Jack Tuttle and then bring Alex Orji in when they want to run the ball. I think Davis Warren's kind of out of the question. Jaden Davis, you can kiss that goodbye. I don't think we're going to see him this year. I think we're just going to deem this redshirt season unless he plays in the last 3-4 games of the year. I don't know, but it's rough, man. And they can't function. You can't function. You have to have at least a middle of the pack quarterback. Mm-hmm. You can't function with just awful quarterback play. And I'm not going to just chalk it all up to the quarterback either. I mean, that offensive line, it's brand new. You replaced all 5 starters, and then you're going to lose 4 starters after this year outside of Evan Link at right tackle, who's a redshirt freshman. So it's going to get, unless they go to the portal and they start playing the free agency game like everybody else, we're not going to stand pat and act like we're Clemson. We're going to have to go out and get some players because this roster – and internally, you got to wonder what's going on. I mean, most of the kids that came back from this team lost their position coach, head coach, strength coach. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot going on internally. This all came late. Benefits of having a long postseason run, winning a national championship. But there's a lot of things internally that haven't been completely ironed out yet. I think there's going to be a max exodus in the spring.
Yeah.
Ensuing this season with probably assistant coaches included. The way Wink Martindale's defense is going, I don't see him. If they go out to Oregon and get completely exposed, they go to Ohio State, get completely exposed, they get exposed by Indiana. You could definitely see a change there at that defensive coordinator because I'm sorry to say, but Michigan's running with about 80 to 90% of these kids on this defense that contributed and had significant snaps there.
Yeah.
In the national championship last year. It's not like you don't have Will Johnson. It's not like you don't have Mason Graham. It's not like you don't have Kenneth Grant. It's not like you don't have Jay-Sean Barham or Ernest Hausman or Makari Page, who started a billion games at Michigan. I mean, Quentin Johnson, who played huge, meaningful. A lot of people remember that big hit that he had on Ibuka last year in the Ohio State game. So, I mean, and the forced fumble that he had against Alabama on Jalen Milroe in the Rose Bowl. I mean, they have guys on defense, but this, like Sharon said at the halftime of the Illinois game last week, the offense has to give the defense a break. Can't be on the field all game and expect to be successful. When your offense can't sustain drives, you can't throw the ball. I don't know what year the forward pass was invented, but somebody should have gave Michigan the memo this year.
I think 1929.
Tom, they're at a level right now where their pass offense is worse than the academies, Navy, Army.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to that point.
And if you look at preseason coming into this year, offense was a big concern. I think you could all agree we didn't know what we were going to see offensively because we lost so much. But the one thing we were all going to hold our hats on was, man, this is a big time defense, and there shouldn't be much of a change since really they've been running a Wink Martindale, Baltimore Raven-esque defense for the past 4 years. So a lot of that terminology shouldn't be any different. And it just hasn't really amounted to anything, which has been a huge disappointment. But between that and between the lack of a quarterback, the lack of development, who do you blame in this scenario?
Honestly, there's no really real person to blame with everything going on internally with Michigan with the legal issues. Harbaugh choosing to go to the NFL at the last minute. I think everybody's kind of just trying to do the best they can with the cards that they were given here. I mean,
Yeah.
you lost J.J. McCarthy to the NFL. I mean, that's a lot to replace. I don't think that people really appreciate how good McCarthy was here because we were so successful running the ball for so long.
Yep.
And you lost a lot. Keegan and Zinner, I mean, those guys were all conference like players for 2-3 years of their career at Michigan. I mean, Drake Nugent, transfer center that came from Stanford, who ended up getting drafted. Darius Henderson ended up getting drafted.
What was
Trente
it?
Jones.
17, 18 players that went in the NFL draft this year. I mean, that's
lost a ton, man. It's a transitional thing. It's not the way that they built that team was not sustainable to do a Georgia Alabama run where they just reload with another 5-star and another blue chip. I mean, that thing was built over time. It was a special class, you know what I mean, with Blake Corum and JJ and all them guys. Like it's just one of the greatest classes we'll ever see at Michigan. And I'm not making any excuses because look, I've backed Sharon Moore this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And is this good? No, absolutely. This is not good.
No.
You know what I mean? They need to, I don't know where to go. You have to get a quarterback. You'll start there.
Yeah. Well, there'll be options, and they have to hit the portal. That's the thing, because the fact that Jaden Davis has not played, I think there's a lot of questions, and you really can answer those questions without getting the answer because he's not playing. And when the quarterback has been so bad, everyone they've played has been so bad.
I'll give you a name, Tom. I'll give you a name. Jackson Arnold, quarterback at Oklahoma, got replaced this year by Michael Hawkins in the Tennessee game. Tennessee game. Jackson Arnold, highly recruited guy, asked to do a lot with a little in Oklahoma with an unhealthy offensive line, no receivers. So his job's been taken by Hawkins. He'll hit the portal. He would be a perfect fit for Michigan. Perfect. Arm talent, run the offense. He's a legitimate quarterback. There's a name. That's the first one. I mean, there's going to be a lot of them, but teams that also Michigan fans that think they're getting Bryce Underwood, it's not going to happen, man.
No.
If you think the bag's going to buy him and bring him here, it's already been done in LSU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure. This is just speculating and looking at the writing on the wall. I'm sure he's got some kind of lucrative deal with LSU already.
This is a good point, and I thought about it the other day. They lose Saturday. What's Will Johnson's incentive to even come back and play for the rest of the year, or anybody else that might be draft eligible?
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, you got Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Will Johnson. Like these guys are all going to they're going to be making decisions. Will Johnson's they're probably all as good as gone, to be honest with you. And at that point, it becomes a pride thing because your season goals are pretty much done at this point. At this point, you want to beat your rivals. You have to beat your rivals. This game, it's huge.
This is their season.
If they don't come out with a fire in this game and an intensity that we haven't seen this season, then I have to question everything that is going on at Michigan from the top down.
Yeah. It's just, I think we can all say it's easier to deal with when they won the national championship last year, but that doesn't hide the fact that it's been a pretty rough ride. But looking forward to this game here.
Yeah.
Aiden Charles Chillis, however you pronounce it, he's been getting better and better as the season's progressed. He played really good against Iowa. Let's see here. He had, I had the stats there somewhere, but he threw a couple touchdowns. 22 of 30, 256 a touchdown. He did throw a pick. He's got ability to make plays with his legs. What's your take on that offense and that team in general? And do you think that they have what it takes to come into Ann Arbor and take down Michigan?
I do. I mean, you look at both teams last week coming off the bye week. Michigan State responded, I thought, and played very well against an Iowa team that just beat Washington the week before pretty handedly. And Caleb Johnson on that Iowa team, who's outside of Ashton Genty, I mean, you're looking at Cam Scatterboot, Caleb Johnson, Marion Hampton from North Carolina is probably one of the best running backs in the country. He did rip off a 75-yard run, but after that, 13 carries for 23 yards. Michigan State's defense held him to. And they got leaders in the middle there. Cal Holiday, he's been there for a while. I will say Brantley may be the best cornerback in the conference right now. So they have a formidable team. They can come in here and do it. They have a 2 running back system: K-Ron Lynch Adams, Nate Carter. Now you're looking at Marshall on the outside. He's probably right next to that conversation with Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams down there at Alabama as far as freshman receivers go. Been a really good player for them. They have it, man. Michigan's they're reeling right now. Like I said, man, I question a lot of things internally with that program right now.
And their confidence level is really low, and I didn't get to see the game last week, but I saw the score, and that's all I needed to do. That's all I needed to see, the fact that they're lost. I think they're completely lost top to bottom. But tell me, what will it take for Michigan to come out with a win?
They got to run the ball. I think that they need to kind of go to more of an option attack, because at this point, you kind of just have to play bully ball with them, football in a phone booth, if you will. Maybe hit a couple passes here and there. And then your defense just has to play well. Michigan's seen Miller Moss this year. They've seen Quinn Ewers. They've went up against good quarterbacks. Aiden Childs is not Miller Moss. Aiden Childs is not Quinn Ewers. So you have to keep Aiden Childs in check and stop the run. And you got the defensive line. You got the front 7 to do that. As long as they stop the pass and they keep Aiden Childs, who is a threat and can cause problems for Michigan, if they can keep him in check, then they can win the game.
So with that being said, give me your score prediction for the game.
Oh, man. See, I'm just going to look like an asshole homer. Let me get Michigan 24, Michigan State 21.
Okay. You think the rivalry, we'll say, will give it a little bit extra juice?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Michigan walked into their house last year and stomped them 49-0. I think it might have been the most lopsided victory in the rivalry. And Michigan has the Paul Bunyan Trophy right now, and they have had it for a couple of years now. And this is Jonathan Smith's first taste of the rivalry, so he kind of wants to set the tone too. You know what I mean? So he can set the tone. I really think that Jonathan Smith's going to be a problem in the Big Ten within the next couple of years. So
he turned Oregon State around.
Yeah,
he did it pretty quick too.
It's going to be. I mean, you had the locker room incident a couple of years ago. This is bad blood, man. It's an in-state rivalry.
It's a new culture.
And it's probably going to be a better game than down the road when we have to go to Columbus. So, yeah, this is almost Michigan's kind of like their Super Bowl this year right now.
It's sad to say. I think Michigan State wins 27-20. There is a little bit of hangover, we'll say, from the 49-0 win, although it's a different regime, we'll say. But I think Michigan State's playing better football, and they've been known to come in, and even when they were down, seasons were down. Look at the year that they beat us a couple years ago, and they had no business winning. With Kenny Walker, they did. So I think this is an opportunity for them to strike while the iron's hot. The fact that they don't have a quarterback, I think they take advantage of it and come in and disappoint us all. I think your boys on the podcast are going to be pretty happy here in the Speakeasy on Saturday night.
I don't think I can take the level of Jonathan Smith glazing that's going to come.
With a particular radio show? A particular radio show?
And the fan base in general, he's got this team 5-3. Our Vegas over/under was 4.5. Yada yada. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain afternoon radio program in Detroit here that's going to be.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I will not be tuning in. We'll just say that. So we're going to move on to the pick'em part of the program. we're going to do a few of the college games, so the bigger college games. Another kind of ho-hum outside of the games last week. There was 2 that were solid, but not a big slate in college, and then we'll go over the NFL slate. And we're going to start with college. The Huskies coming to Kurt Signetti Field in Indiana, facing the Hoosiers. Hoosiers are 6.5-point favorite. Lost Rourke, their quarterback. He's going to be out a couple weeks for thumb surgery. Who do you like in this game?
I like Minnesota. Wow. I like Indiana covering. I think Signetti's just got them rolling. The defense showed how good they were last week. They have a really good rushing attack. They brought the backup quarterback in last week, man, and didn't really skip a beat.
Yeah, because he got hurt in the first half or early in the second half. Yeah.
So it's Taven Jackson is their backup, who's also pretty good. And he brought some guys with him from James Madison, Old Dominion, and these smaller schools. Man, it's a cool story. He's
awesome.
I like Indiana to cover.
Pat McAfee asked him like you great game. What was the mindset? He goes, got to the team hotel at 8 o'clock. We ate, went to bed, woke up, beat their ass. I mean, this guy is he's old school. I love it. He's great. The Illinois going to Oregon. Oregon absolutely mollywopped Purdue last week. Not a surprise. It's a 21.5-point favorite, Oregon. What do you think in that one? I, too, took Indiana, by the way, so I'm going Indiana as well. Who do you like in the Illinois-Oregon game?
I think, Oregon, you can flip a coin who's best team in the conference right now, and it's either Oregon or it's Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Oregon's impressive. They're at home. Illinois making that trek. Kate Altmaier, good quarterback. Illinois got a really good defense.
Good offense too.
I'm taking Illinois.
As long as
cover the points.
Fagan, the running back, is if he plays, that gives them a little bit. You think Illinois is going to win, or they're going to cover?
Cover.
Okay, yeah.
I like Illinois to cover.
Yeah, me too. I like them. I think Oregon wins. Illinois covers. Missouri going to Alabama. Missouri with another loss in Knoxville that our good buddy Robbie Davis was very medicated, we'll say, as they carried the goalpost out of Neyland Stadium. Alabama's got a 13.5-point favorite. What do you think?
Is it 13.5? I seen it at 16.5 earlier. I like Missouri to cover. I think that's a pretty wide number. I don't think this is a fluke. I think Alabama's kind of just struggling. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is not Nick Saban. One thing is not like the other. And I don't think Alabama fans should expect that. I think they're still going to obviously be a really good team. And Missouri, as bad as Brady Cook is at quarterback, man, they got Theo Weiss and they got Luther Burden. That's one of the best receiving rooms in the country. If Brady Cook can get the ball out to those guys, I think they'll be fine. And that Bama secondary is shown to be kind of weak. I like Missouri to cover the spread this week for sure.
Yeah, give me Alabama. Missouri covers as well. That team's been a question mark. Missouri had all indications they were going to have a really good year. They haven't put it together completely, but I see their defense stepping up here. So going to Madison, Wisconsin, home of the Spotted Cow. Penn State, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 6.5-point dog. What do you like in this one?
Oh, man. I like Penn State to win the game. I think Wisconsin can keep it close. I think they can keep it within the 6.5. Since Van Dyke's went down, this Wisconsin offense has been humming. Maybe that's what they needed, was that spark at that quarterback position. But, and Drew Allard, better this year, still making careless plays, turning the ball over. But they still got that two-headed monster at running back. They still got that great defense. Run game travels, defense travels.
Yeah.
I like Penn State to win in a close one.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're repeating ourselves here. We're on the same page. I do like Penn State to win, maybe a field goal late turnover by Wisconsin, and Penn State takes advantage. LSU, the Fighting, my families, going up against Texas A&M. A&M's a 2.5-point favorite in this game. Brian Kelly is skating by the skin of his teeth somehow, some way. Not sure he's going to be able to get away with it this week.
No, yeah, I like Texas A&M at home. Connor Weidman been pretty good. Wegman, he's been a good quarterback this year. Their offense has been humming along. That defense, obviously under Elko, is going to be pretty good. Now LSU does cause some problems. Garrett Nussmeier, probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football right now. And then Kyron Lacey, who's been a good receiver for them. It'll be a close game, man. But I like that 12th man advantage there at Texas A&M. I like them to cover the 2.5.
Yeah, I think they're starting to see Elko come into his own. There was some question marks as to why that program, who's got endless amounts of finances, they went for Elko, and I think they went for the right coach, the right fit instead of the right name, as they made that mistake before. Yep. So, yeah, give me A&M to win this game. So, moving on to the NFL, where this guy right here was 10-4 last week in his picks. So I'm looking to improve on that. And we're going to start off with the Ravens going to the NFL's dumpster fire in Cleveland. The Browns are 9-point dogs in this game. Jameis Winston's probably going to get the start. Good old belt buckle, or not belt buckle, crab leg thief is getting the start. And part-time preacher, I've got Ravens all over Cleveland in this one. I think Lamar's going to run all over the defense, and having Derrick Henry back there just makes him even more lethal. He's kind of focusing a little bit more on being a pocket passer, which is scary because he's getting better and better each week. So I've got Baltimore in this one.
Yeah, I got Baltimore too. I think Cleveland's just like me and you were. I think me and you were talking about it, Tom. Stefanski could be the first coach to go from coach of the year to fired because it's been a dumpster fire in Cleveland and Baltimore. Man, humming. We talk about Jared Goff as MVP, but Lamar, the way he's playing, man, he could go back to back.
Yep, I think so. The Jets going to New England. Obviously, the Jets get Devontae Adams last week. Does not have a very good game. He's 9 targets, 3 receptions, I think 21 yards. I think the problem is a little bit more than Devontae Adams. It's a little bit more than Robert Saleh, who they let go a couple weeks ago. It's clearly Aaron Rodgers. But I think this is a game where they can kind of put it together because New England ain't it. And when your coach is saying we're a soft football team, that's trouble for the Patriots. So give me the Jets in this one.
Yeah, this is a perfect scenario for the Jets this week. Coming off of the emotional letdown last week, you get Devontae Adams, and that's just going to create more opportunities for Garrett Wilson too, who I think is going to blow up down the stretch here. And I like the Jets to cover.
Moving on to the Queen City, Cincinnati. You got the Eagles coming to town, going into Cincinnati, who I think they're starting to pick up some speed offensively. Burrow and Chase have looked pretty good. Their run game is starting to pick up the slack a little bit. Eagles, I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's the same quarterback we saw a couple years ago. And the fact that Cincinnati seemed to be on the up and up, I like their chances. So give me Cincinnati in this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one, man. Saquon Barkley had a huge game against the Giants last week, and not that easy of a defense to run on with Dexter Lawrence there in the middle. So, man, it's tough. I like Cincinnati though. Give me Cincinnati. Yeah, like Chase Brown's been running the football really well. They kind of switched to him from Zach Moss. I mean, obviously Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe. Yeah, I'll roll with Cincinnati. I think that they're going to get on that streak that they always usually do every year to make that playoff push.
I think a lot of Lions fans around here were looking at Trey Hendrickson as a possible replacement there for Aiden Hutchinson.
No.
And
No.
my thought was, well, if they lose a couple more games, he might be available. But I don't think he's going to be available.
No.
We're going to head down to Jacksonville, where the Packers are going in to face Jacksonville, the Jaguars. Packers are a 4.5-point favorite. That shocks the hell out of me. That number seems awfully low to me. You wonder if weather will come into play, but I think Green Bay they've got a lot more talent. I think defensively they'll be able to get to sunshine and put them down. So give me Green Bay in this game.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas are slowly starting to develop a nice little connection down there. And then I think Tank Bigsby and Trevor Etienne coming back now kind of gives them a two-headed monster. So I could see why that number's creeping down there. But that Green Bay defense, the way they're playing, and Jordan Love, third game back, I like the Packers to cover too.
Yeah, you have to wonder, with Jacksonville coming back from London last week, yeah, they put up numbers, but they were playing New England. I don't know why that number is so low. I can see it being a touchdown game. This next game here, this is an interesting game to me because it can go either way. Falcons at Bucks. Falcons look like world beaters 2 weeks ago. Last week at home against Seattle, they look terrible. Going up against Tampa Bay, who, man, they're depleted at receiver. I know Tim mentioned earlier in the show that their wide receiver issues. They lose Mike Evans early on with the hamstring. He's out for 4 weeks. And then they lose Chris Godwin and some would argue garbage time with a broken ankle. Man, it looked really bad. You feel for him. He was Baker's kind of security blanket a lot in the last 2 years. So they're really hurting at the receiver position. This game's in Tampa. That will give them a little extra juice. The Bucks are 2.5-point favorites. I think this is a game where their defense kind of carries them. Give me the Bucks here. The battle really for first place in that NFC South.
Yeah, and it's a rematch. Atlanta won the first game. That was a great game. I'm sure that the Bucks are eager to get back at them. The Bucks are a team that are going to have to make a move. They're going to have to trade for a receiver.
Cooper Kupp.
They're playoff wins right now, and their windows right now, and they need a guy. So I don't think that's going to do them any good this week.
No,
I like Atlanta. I like the Falcons in this game.
The Falcons are just so damn predictable. I took them last week. I thought coming off a big win, they were going to, keep it rolling at home. Seattle hadn't been the same team since they played us. So I was wrong in that department. They kind of shit the bed, but that's been Seattle's season for the most part all year. Cardinals going into Miami. Miami's a 3.5 point favorite. Tua's playing. He said, I don't care about my long-term health, and I'm not wearing a bump cap, a guardian cap, because they look ridiculous. I think the reality is Tua's a pretty good quarterback, and the only difference that we've seen since his injury is he hasn't been there, and both quarterbacks they've plugged in have been atrocious. So I think they get it together this week. Give me Miami to win. I think this has the potential to be a really good game. Last week, Arizona looked really well, winning at home against the Chargers. Again, a lot like Atlanta. Not sure what Cardinal team you're going to get with Kyler Murray, but I think Miami comes out on top.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Miami's a different team with Tua as quarterback. Now you can get the ball to Tyreek Hill and get the ball to Jalen Waddle, use Mostert and A-Chain a little bit more. I like the Dolphins at home. And they're a completely different team when Tua's out there.
Yeah. I mean, it was really bad. It was really bad last week. Miami had a chance, but the quarterback play was just really bad. Colts, Texans, and AFC South battle. Texans, 5.5-point favorite. I think the sophomore curse is starting to set in a little bit on C.J. Stroud. He is not having the season that he had last year. That's not to say that he hasn't played good football. What did he throw for 95 yards last week in Green Bay? He just didn't have a good game. If not for Mixon at running back, they probably would have lost handily, but Green Bay gets the win at the last second field goal. The Colts, I'm not sure what the Colts are really. The fact of the matter is they're choosing to play Richardson over Flacco, which I think is a huge mistake. I think if Flacco plays, this game is closer, but he's not going to play. So give me the Texans here. I might actually think that the Colts could cover in this game. 5.5 is a little bit high for a division game, but I think Houston comes out on top.
Yeah, Houston, C.J. Stroud, he's a few weeks out till Nico gets back. Once Nico gets back, it'll kind of settle that pass offense a little bit. But yeah, the Colts, it's an amazing story with the Colts, how they're able to hold on and have a winning record right now with Anthony Richardson, who's played awful, man. Yeah, Joe Flacco should definitely be the quarterback there. But I like the Houston Texans. I like the Texans defense too. Their defense. Everybody talks about all the weapons that they got on offense, but forget that they still have Will Anderson.
Will Anderson is
absolute animal.
He was my guy I wanted last year. Like if the Lions, that was the guy I wanted on the team. He would look good right now filling in for Aiden, wouldn't he? Holy mackerel!
Yeah.
Tim is a resident Buckeye fan. Who likes to rip on his own team, which I can respect. But, C.J. Stroud to Nico, Michigan, Ohio State to Michigan connection there, which is very ironic. So, Saints, Chargers, there probably will be more Saints fans in L.A. at SoFi for this game. Chargers giving 7. I don't buy it. I don't trust that Herbert is 100%. He hasn't been all year. Their receiver core, talk about another team that needs receivers, which I'm shocked they haven't made a trade to get Mike Williams back. He would be a good fit to go back to that team.
Yeah.
But I think the Saints will cover, but I have the Chargers winning in this game.
Yeah, no, I got Chargers. I like the Chargers at 7. I'm cool with that. The Saints coming in with Spencer. I think Spencer Rattler's still starting for them. They're a team that has went downhill and been probably one of the worst teams in football since
started
out hot, blew the door off 2 different teams coming into that.
Cowboys. But that doesn't look so good anymore.
And we know what Harbaugh wants to do. He's running the ball with J.K. Dobbins. And they're going to try to play good defense. I could see that 7 holding up.
Okay. Buffalo going to Seattle. Seattle getting 3 points, coming off a huge win last week, like I mentioned earlier, in Atlanta. They put it together. Geno put it together last week. There is some concern. DK Metcalf's knee, is he going to play Sunday? Not sure. But they do have other weapons they can get. Buffalo's played real well, coming in strong last couple weeks. It's interesting that you're seeing a Josh Allen kind of evolve. He's not throwing the ball away a whole lot. So real quick, we'll finish this up. I have Seattle winning this game.
Seattle, wow. I like, you mentioned the Metcalf injury. They're kind of having some issues right now. Another team that started out pretty good, lost 2 of their last 3. Buffalo, another week for Amari Cooper to get going with Josh Allen. I like Buffalo. I'm going opposite of you.
Okay. That might be the first one. Hey.
Okay.
All righty.
Can't agree on everything.
Yeah, you hope not.
Right.
Chicago coming off the bye, going to Washington. Is Jaden Daniels going to play? If he doesn't, man, Marcus Mariota looked damn good last week. They were playing Carolina, so that helps. But they did
Yeah.
put up 40. The Commanders are getting 2.5. I like Washington. I think this team is clicking. I think not only offensively but defensively, and it's no surprise who's back there on defense, Mikey Sanders still. So give me Washington in this game. I still don't trust the Bears yet.
Yeah, I like Washington too. I think Dan Quinn's brought some juice and definitely improve that defense. Yeah, just keep it brief. I'll go with Washington. But yeah, the battle of rookie quarterbacks here.
Yeah. I just don't trust.
If Daniels plays.
Yeah, I just don't trust Chicago fully, 100%. Carolina going to Denver. Denver giving 9. Denver's looked damn good with Bo Nix.
Yeah.
He's played good football, and they're winning, and it goes to show. So I like Denver big in this game.
Denver big too. Denver's defense kind of a little untalked about this year has been really good. I like Denver. And Bryce Young starting for the Panthers this week.
Yes. It'll be an opportunity for him to prove his worth, because I think he'll probably be out of Carolina after this year. So yeah, I agree. Give me Denver. Chiefs Raiders going in to Vegas. Vegas getting 10. Aiden O'Connell's out. Gardner Minshew will be the starter, as far as I know. That team is another program going in the wrong direction. It's going to be heavy Chiefs in Vegas. Give me the Chiefs in this one.
I like the Chiefs to win, but I actually like Vegas to cover and keep it close. I mean, this is a division matchup. The Raiders usually play the Chiefs pretty tough. You remember the Raiders actually beat the Chiefs last year. So, Crosby, he's a madman. He's an animal. He'll be getting after Mahomes. Mahomes is. It's almost like Mahomes is still the MVP off of past accolades. It's pretty crazy to me because he hasn't played that well this year. But I think that they're going to win, and I like the Raiders to cover.
He's thrown six touchdowns to 9 interceptions on the year, 9 or 10 interceptions in the year, but
10.
Somehow he's the third favorite to win the MVP. I don't know. It's the Chiefs. The NFL had the love affair with the Chiefs. It's ridiculous. Cowboys coming off a bye, going to San Francisco, who, man, they lose Ayuk with an ACL. They've Debo with pneumonia, not sure if he's going to play. And you've got Kittle with a sprained toe. Man, are they depleted? But they still have their defense. Dallas is just I don't have any faith in Dak. Give me San Francisco in this game. Home game. I think that carries at least a touchdown or so. Give me San Francisco.
Yeah, I like San Francisco too. I think McCarthy probably be a head coach that'll be fired in season here in the next few weeks for the Cowboys. It's an absolute shipwreck. So, yeah, I like the 49ers.
Monday night, New York going against the Steelers. Steelers starting Russell Wilson last week. It was a bit of a shaky start. He finished okay. Another team that really relies on their defense and their run game. This is at home. Pittsburgh is really good home team. Give me Pittsburgh to win and cover in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pittsburgh win and cover. I thought Russell Wilson actually really gave him a spark. They were able to get George Pickens going a little bit finally. I like the Steelers to cover. New York's just a complete mess right now. That team is not trending good. Talk about Brian Daboll probably being another coach that could eventually get fired.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Tim, and we'll hit on it. This will be the last game, which should be kicking off here any minute now if it hasn't already. Vikings at the Rams. Rams getting both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back. Kupp is rumored to be on his way out, possible trade target. I think a lot of it depends on how they play today. Not sure what the spread is. I thought it was Minnesota was favored by 3. I like the Rams in this game. I think having both those guys back is going to help Stafford, and so give me the Rams in this game.
Oh, wow. No, I like Minnesota this week. Too much for the Rams. The Rams are, even if Nakua and Cup are playing this week, neither one of them are going to be completely ready yet. But I've seen crazier shit happen, but I'm going with the Vikings.
Okay. So there's a couple we don't agree on. So we'll
Yep.
see. So we'll tally them up at the end of week 8, and we'll see what we got. But I know you got to get going, and I really
Yep.
appreciate you coming on. Your knowledge is just second to none, and I know the listeners and the
Thank
viewers appreciate that. And look for JP on the 4th and Goal podcast. You want to give them your address where they can find it?
Yeah, 4th and Goal. It's sorry, 4TH and then N Goal. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. And we'll actually be at Tom's house this weekend for a live watch party from the Speakeasy for the Michigan State game. First time we've ever done this. Probably have a couple cameras set up, and so if you want to watch the game with us, tune in. We'll all be there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll probably share it from this broadcast too. So we'll have it all set up. Looking forward to that. And again, JP, thank you so much. We'll be checking in here probably next Monday with a recap from the Lions, Titans, and a recap from Michigan State. See how that goes. But other than that, thanks everybody for watching. Look for Reckless Speculation coming on here in about a half an hour. We'll be on with Robbie Davis, and we're going to be talking Tennessee Volunteer football. So look forward to that. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. I hit